Welcome to Inside the Introvert. Alright, let's see how awkward I can make this. That might have sounded bad for the audio. Woohoo! This is the perfect introduction for an introvert because I was trying to hide myself and I made it super awkward trying to get everything to work. So I'm technically just now creating this podcast, although I've kind of been doing it. It's splitting off from my other one. My other podcast is called Silver Sea Review, and if you want to, all the previous stuff, I'm going to split, like the old episodes. I've been doing it for a year, and the old episodes I've done Inside the Introvert section, jokes and quotes, and introduction and stuff like that. I'm going to try to pull some of that and put that out there under this channel as well. But if you ever want to go check out Silver Sea Review, that's my movie review podcast, and I do movie recommendations and stuff like that. But you can always go and see the sections. They're always, the times are listed, so you can skip to certain sections or whatever. But this is just going to be an introduction to tell you more about what my podcast is, so I don't have to say things over and over, and this probably still won't be all-encompassing, but I'll do my best. I make lots of mistakes, so you'll see that in my podcast, and I don't like to edit, or I don't hardly ever edit, so they're always there. Great, but that's part of the learning experience, right? And I feel like that's how I am as originally myself as I can be, because I feel like that is the most important thing about being an introvert, is always being yourself. It's not, I mean, they say there's like probably 45% of the world population is introverts, or some variation of an introvert, so it's not a bad thing, and it's not uncommon, and we do seem to kind of live in an extroverted world, but it's also not hard to, once you find out that you are an introvert, to be yourself and own who you are and everything like that. But I'm just kind of going off on random tangent here. I like to do that as well in my podcast, unfortunately, and that often makes them go long. Let's see. Sorry, I just thought, that's another thing about being an introvert. Our minds tend to randomly jump to other things, and we kind of forget what we're doing. Oftentimes, introverts have a lot of trouble verbalizing what they're thinking because our minds are actually wired differently. We use long-term memory more than we use short-term memory, and it just makes it harder to, like this, harder to make or to verbalize our thoughts. And what the problem was just right there was I was trying to remember if I started the camera. I'm fairly certain I did. I want to go look, but at the same time I don't want to redo this first part. So I'm just going to hope that I did, and if not, in like 12 minutes or so, I'll see that I didn't and be very frustrated. But I say and a lot. I apologize for that. I can't seem to stop myself. I've got boards that I read bullet points off of. That's the only way for me to keep track and not forget things. I really hate forgetting something. So a lot of times when I'm reading, it'll either be silent or I'll be stammering, saying and But this version of my podcast is about my life as an introvert. It'll have jokes, it'll have quotes, and stories. If you, I already said that. If you notice the number on the episode, you'll see that it's quite high, even though it'll seem like the episodes are just starting, and it's because I'm continuing the number of episodes from my previous Silver Sea Review podcast. So, like I said, I'll try to get those episodes out there, but they won't be anything like this one. Like, they'll just be snippets of my previous episodes. But if you ever want to hear the entire thing, you can go over there and listen to those. So, I figured we should define an introvert in the best way I know how. And it's that an introvert spends energy on social interactions while an extrovert gains energy on social interactions. So introverts recharge and gain energy from being alone. And that's pretty much all there is about introverts. It's not so much that they're shy or anything like that. It's simply how we get energy. Extroverts get energy by being around people and they get more pumped up. Whereas introverts spend their energy, and their energy is precious to them because it's harder to get back. Like, being alone in this world, people think something's wrong with you, or you're a little off, or something like that. And that's just how we have to recharge. So we have to choose how we spend our energy very wisely. But that's how they are defined. They're definitely, introverts in general are misunderstood. People just don't understand how we handle experiences because they've not been around introverts, or it's just kind of becoming like well known, even the word. And a lot of people consider it negative, but it's definitely not. I mean, I really, now that I've learned that I'm an introvert and all the information about them, I really enjoy it, and I feel like I finally realized who I am, and it's just made life so much better. Like, it's incredible. There's definitely, of course, like everything, a spectrum between introversion and extroversion. I mean, there's extroverted introverts and introverted extroverts and everything else out there. I'm highly introverted. I mean, I can be extroverted when I need to, but it just drains me like crazy. And I love being out here. That's why I even do my podcast out in nature, is because that's where I'm most comfortable. And I have a lot of trouble speaking as an introvert, even though I'm just talking to a camera. So being out in nature seems to, or I thought, and it has been, the best option for me. Which I could also like sit in my house or something like that. I guess that would be equally as good, and it would also not have to worry about daylight and stuff. But it's so pretty. Everything is so pretty out here, so why not bring you along for that? This podcast will have a few sections, as I've kind of mentioned. The first one will be kind of an introduction. It'll also kind of reference stuff that's happening in Silver Sea Review. Like, if there's just a general thing that's going on with my podcasting, I'll mention it in this podcast. And then it'll go into my introverted stories. Of course, I feel like a lot of people don't realize the mindset and how introverts deal with situations. And I deal with a lot of situations that are in a very introverted way. So we'll be going through that. And then I'll go on to, lost my place. There's a newsletter out there called Introvert Dear, and we'll go into maybe a few things, a few topics from that. Mainly it'll be like a commentary on things I read in that. I would definitely highly recommend going and reading it yourself, but if not, I'm just going to pull a few things to talk about that I either agree with or like. And then the ending will be the jokes and quotes, and the jokes and quotes are, usually the jokes are always puns, and the quotes are some sort of motivational quote, but they're both things that, they're definitely not by me. I did not make any of them up, and I'm also not going to be citing the sources of where I got them, because, first of all, it's kind of hard to track down sources, and I just don't like doing it. I don't want to take credit for any of them, but I do feel like these jokes are things that I keep in a list, that I always can go back and reference, and the quotes are what I live my life by. Anytime I'm having trouble of any sort, I go back to my quotes, and I look for what I need to hear, and that's what's guided my life. So, like I said, they're not made by me, but I highly value them. It's not some gimmick, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna put some jokes and quotes out there. They're very meaningful to me, and I'll defend any quote that I say, and I love all the jokes, so that's why I've got them there. Trying to share something that is meaningful with me. Yeah, I already said the episode numbers. I did not do a very good job of typing this out. Either that or I just keep jumping ahead, trying to explain all this. Oh, on the quotes, when I say them, I usually try to go into a little bit of detail to explain them, to show that how I view the quote and how I try to integrate it into my life, but I do a terrible job of explaining them, so I still do it, but usually I butcher the quote, so at least the quote's still out there. If you're listening to this, of course, you can go on YouTube and see all my older videos, so you can kind of give an idea of what it looked like. I'll be walking around reading off my cell phone, and that'll be great. I'm so excited to go to audio only, because in my old videos, wind was a major issue. So if you go back and listen to the old videos, you'll notice that a lot of them are hard to listen to because there's so much wind noise. I didn't have this microphone at the time until like a month ago, and the camera, I don't know where the mic is exactly or how to prevent the wind from destroying the quality of the sound, but being able to walk around, I would have been able to get out of it. I was always just standing still like this. A couple episodes ago, I did a Silver Sea review. I did one where I was walking around and filming it. So if you watch that, you'll get an idea of what I'm doing during the audio. But I'll still do a picture, and the audio will still be uploaded to YouTube. And I'll have like a static image. Like, say for example, if I was doing this place, because I'm a freelance photographer, so I like doing photoshopped pictures, I would take this picture and put like 8 or 9 versions of myself throughout the picture, and that'll be the static image that I use for the audio upload to YouTube. And of course they'll be on SoundCloud as well. But all the video I'm leaving out there, so if you want to go back and listen to it. And also, I'm creating a separate channel, a YouTube channel and SoundCloud for the Inside the Introvert. But where was I going with that? All the older videos will still be out there. I'm leaving them there. So if you want to go back and watch the older stuff, I don't have a paid membership to SoundCloud, so I can only upload, like, I've got a certain amount that I can upload. So they won't stay on there forever. I'll try to upload some of the older ones, but as I need more room, they get deleted. In the future, I might do a paid membership if I feel like it's required, but right now, it would just be a waste of money. I have a Twitter and Instagram. You can contact me on there or comment or anything like that. Twitter I use to share links, usually to YouTube videos and stuff that I find online, and Instagram I upload pictures. They're not my pictures, they're just funny pictures that I find online that I think other people might find funny, and I can't do a very good job of linking directly to the websites I get them from, so I just kind of post the pictures, but I want to be clear they're not mine. I'm not creating them or anything like that. I was for a while uploading some of my pictures, because as a freelance photographer I have some really, really awesome pictures, but it was taking so much time, and I finally stopped. Like, I had a Pinterest, and it's still out there, but I stopped uploading to it. And if in the future, if I feel like it would be something that would be worthwhile, I'll be willing to go back and do it, but for the time being, I'm gonna stop, or I did stop. But any of those, if you happen to see my old stuff, it'll be tagged Silver Sea Review, and you'll know that's my picture. But everything else that's not tagged is not mine. Oh no, the sun's going down. It's getting pretty dark. A lot faster than I thought it was going to. So glad I will not have to deal with daylight anymore. I can just like take a picture and then walk around in darkness if I have to. Drives me nuts. So if there's any questions or recommendations, anything like that, feel free to share them with me. Just comment anywhere and I'll see it and respond. But I think that's going to be it. Just remember that just because the world leans towards extroverts doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or introversion. So always be yourself, own it. That's the best thing you can be yourself, and take care of yourself, because there's only one you out there.